So, welcome everyone. We're really excited to be here to launch the new year, the new book, and we have a lot of great information to share. It's thanks for everyone for being so patient with us since we had to cancel last month and push the launch to this month. I'm Bridget Duvall, co-founder of Blooming Zone Initiative, alongside my partner here, Cynthia Schultz. I see a lot of familiar faces. I see some new faces. So I'm going to talk for a minute about what we did last year, who we are. So we're a group of folks that are working towards Blue Zones initiative here in Bloomington. And we've had this amazing platform here at Morgenstern Books for the past year to bring community together, to connect with folks, and to share on the topic of the Blue Zones. Last year, sorry, I know that some of you know this, but I'm getting through the process of recovering from a concussion that I had after a car accident last month. So I'm a little bit, my brain isn't working like usual, but it's really great to be here. Last year we went over the book, The Blue Zones, The 9 Lessons for Living Longer. We all shared each month in what we were learning with each chapter. Along with the book club, we also started to develop cooking workshops. We started to promote programs here in town that sort of worked in line with the Blue Zone's 9 lessons. And this year we're really excited to launch the new book that we'll be reading, which is called The Longevity Solution. For those of you that don't have copies, we have them here, and of course support Morgenstern Books if you can. But the reason why we chose this book is because in chapter 12, the doctors go over their own study of the Blue Zones. And so as we've talked about, as we move through, we've talked about how as we move through this book, we want to reflect back on what we've learned from the 9 lessons. So it's going to be a fun challenge for us each month as we move through the book. So that's what I have, and I'm just really happy to see new faces. I'm happy to see folks that I've gotten to know over this past year. It's been just a really amazing journey. So welcome everyone, and now I'm going to pass on to Cynthia.
Hi there. If anybody sees me forgetting that to touch the machine here, you just need to go. These guys just did. I'm so happy to finally get through. Both Bridget and I have been through some difficulties lately, and I feel like seeing all your smiling faces just makes me feel like life's good again. So thank you for being here. And I am going to talk tonight about a new program. It actually is not very new to me because I've been working on it for a year now. We have an exciting new opportunity. We've joined hands with the Area 10 Agency on Aging, which is a big, large, state-funded district organization that offers programs and activities of all kinds here at the College Mall, in the Enright Center East, and in the Ellettsville Center for the people that are 50 and over. The exciting thing about this new program is while it's targeted at the folks at that are now members of the Enright Center, we hope we'll help them build with the introduction of Blue Zones ideas. We'll help them build on. They have a CSA, for example. They have 4 days a week. They have a lunch. Not time for me to be somebody else, right? Yeah, we'll get with the program here in a minute. That's what you get for taking off too much, right? So, the new program's called Fridays at Enright. The Enright Center to date has only been open Monday through Thursday with programming and lunch. It's very popular. There's a lot of things that go on there. And we had an opportunity, myself, Bill Stafford, and another lady named Jolie Hill, to work with them and actually rent the space from them on Friday, and indirectly from Simon Properties, which we're really happy to have their support because it's a beautiful spot for basically very little money. So we're funded by a grants from the Indiana Arts Commission, which will, one of the programming things will involve memory and memory making and art, and using art to tell your life story. The cool thing about that is it's just not, in that case, for that particular program, which is just one of 4 new programs on Friday, that program will pair young adults from Indiana University initially, and we hope Ivy Tech eventually, we're talking to them, to come in and tease stories of out of the participants, the members there, and document these in different formats, audio, video, and in some cases photography that will be made into collages and all sorts of cool things. So it's an intergenerational storytelling type of, or memory making type of activity. So we have that program. We have what we start out calling Lunch and Learn, and we decided that that was kind of tired term, so we've come up with food for thought. And every week there'll be a not a brown bag, bring your own bag lunch. Yeah, don't call it brown, even though the bag's brown, right? So we're having from noon every Friday for the rest of this year at noontime, we'll have a speaker. You bring your lunch and listen to the speaker. And we've had 2 speakers already. They've been great, and they're not just elderly topics. They're for anyone, any age. We started out with snow buddies, which was appropriate after all that snow. This past week we heard from Dr. McKinley. Yeah, he was super interesting, and several of the people there that said this is the first time they ever heard a Western medicine doctor actually talk about kind of some of the metaphysical aspects of being in these bodies of ours. So that was really cool. And so once and again, we want everybody to consider coming every Friday from now on, and we'll have a culminating event. This spring is considered a pilot, and we'll have a culminating event on April 25th where we'll actually launch the full program for the rest of the year. It's at the mall, yeah. It's a College Mall, and it's Enright Center. Oh, so I'm being coached here by someone I couldn't live without, frankly. I'm supposed to tell you, and it's true, that one of the sessions, of the 4 sessions, is a co-design studio where there's going to be a team, and yet another team of IU students there, seeing how technology can be used to, adaptive technology can be used to help seniors instead of just getting our way. And yours truly will be giving the talk, and these are not lectures, they're conversations over lunch. My date is Friday, February 28th. Is that a Friday? Yeah, I believe it's the 28th. Yeah, yes, it is. At noon, and I'm going to wait for it. Plant slant, eating more plants, fruits and vegetables. Have you heard that one before? This is for those of you who are new. That's one of the 9 lifestyle traits of Blue Zones worldwide. So we'll talk more about that in a little bit. But I think my time's up, and I'm going to pass it over to my good friend and great newsletter writer, Tara
Designer.
Putting so much pressure on me about the newsletter now. Just to piggyback just a minute, I got to attend this co-design studio, and even though Cynthia's doing her best to explain it, I will tell you that it's very difficult to explain. Having been a teacher for 17 years, that's what it reminds me of. It's sort of an I do, I explain, then we all do it together, and now you go home and you implement some of the things that you've learned, and it's very highbrow. I mean, it is very in-depth information that you're receiving to foster a community of experts and to begin building, I think, a community around the idea. And she said it's not just for seniors, but for all ages to come and participate in a different type of, I think, community building activity. The creative art was amazing. She, with meditation, activated both parts of my brain really in a short span of time. And then we connected some really, I think, in-depth ideas. So it's worth coming to. It's in the newsletter. It's under medical neighborhoods is what the topic that we discussed. At the bottom, you can find out a way to sign up if you'd like to come. Talking about programs, the newsletter, some people had said they weren't getting it. We found out there's a little bit of a snafu with the letter getting into your inbox and being high priority. So if you are looking for the newsletter, search for Blooming Zones in your search area or look under promotions. For some reason, it's being rerouted there. But you might see I sent it to you twice this time. Quickly about programs so I don't take too much time not talking about them.
Take your time.
We like programs.
We like programs.
All right. I'm going to stand up because I want to introduce some of our program directors. The first one is our new leadership team leadership team member is Mary Cuniers, and she is offering an exciting dance program that to me is a bit intimidating, but sounds like so much fun. Because she's actually going to teach you how to do the dance steps you always wanted to know. You see people doing them, think they look great. She's going to show us how to do that, and it's on a Saturday night.
This coming Saturday.
This coming Saturday, starting at 7 o'clock. The first hour are the lessons, and then you actually get to just do the dances and a dance party. And she has a whole team that is helping her. It's not just her. So if you're not sure how to stand, how to make your frame, I don't know if you're going to be doing that.
Absolutely. Tara, you've done your homework.
I just watched Dancing with the Stars. That's all I know.
It's at Windfall Dancers on 14th and Dunn.
Windfall Dancers, thanks. So that is a wonderful opportunity. We are going to continue some of our programming, the nature programming. Who did I see went on my nature walk with me? Did he? Oh, I think he's disappeared. Oh, there you are. Yes. While I was at the co-design studio, I was introduced to a term called forest bathing, which I really did not know there was a name for it, but I now know I have experienced it. The nature walks we have been doing with Jillian Field from MC Iris, and she works with Urban Green Space, removing non-native plants. It's a lot of physical activity when you get into the removal of the non-native plants, so you need to come prepared for getting a workout, building that upper body strength, doing a lot of squatting, pulling. It's hard work. Our nature walks are more of the forest bathing. She takes us into places we've walked many times, but she points out what are the native species that we want to protect for our pollinators and which ones are the non-native. Those are the ones that anytime you're out, you should just be pulling those things, tearing them up, getting rid of them. We want those non-natives gone to protect our pollinators. Bittersweet is our biggest enemy right now. So if you have bittersweet somewhere in your yard, get rid of it, destroy it. Don't let the birds get the seeds and spread it. It's really difficult to get rid of. And I praise all of them that work with it and get rid of it for us. So I invite you out to those events. Please look at the newsletter for those dates. And then we have a new program presented by Lisa McMichael, and she's been a longtime member since the beginning. I'm really excited about her program. I'm going to stand up and introduce you. Because this actually is a program that I kind of requested when I was just having a conversation with her. And I'm very impressed with the techniques that she is going to help teach us again with the I do, we do, and then you do. Learning techniques to deal with stress and anxiety. And I don't know anybody that doesn't have a little bit of that right now. I will introduce the dates. That will be in March. That's actually not a February event. That will be a March event. So please do check out the newsletter for that one. Our book clubs will continue being the third Monday of every month. And the walking groups will continue at Bryan Park, and we're hoping to add more walking groups that'll be official Blue Zones activities. And if you do check out the newsletter, we have quite a few opportunities. We have also partnered with someone doing journey dance, so a Tessa Bent, and I think that sounds like a completely different kind of dance experience. That's one where that usually is going to be more, I would think, yoga-like, where you're focusing on dance and healing and looking at your inner self and inner peace, and how do you project that into movement, right? Tai Chi, Tai Chi is the last one.
Yes.
Tai Chi is usually at the Reverend Ernest Butler Park, and now during the cold weather, it is taking place on Fridays at 10:15 a.m. at our public library, the main branch. She said anybody's welcome. There's no registration. It's free. But when you show up, if there ends up being too many people, then she does have another room where she can move to. Right now, they're in room 2A. The last thing that I will say before I pass on the microphone, and we're going to, is that we do have a sign-up sheet, and I already started it. It's really important to sign up on the sign-up sheet. Even if you come here regularly, and I already have you in our database, yes, thanks, I thought I did. If you're already in, you do not have to put your email and phone number. You can just list your name. But if you have not signed up for our newsletter, please make sure to put your email and phone number there. The phone number is really just in case your email bounces back. That way that I know that you're getting the newsletter and you know what's happening.
Good job.
You're good.
I'll borrow your like technique here. Is it okay if I'm standing up? Are you guys good with that? Hi everybody, Mary Conieris. I guess I'm here to talk to you mainly about getting involved. And this is my call to action. This is a community endeavor that needs everyone to jump on board. We need everybody's talents to bring yourself forward. Tell us what you're good at, what you're interested in. If you know of an organization in town that would be willing to partner with us, come and talk to us about that. If you are the organization, come and talk to us about that. We have two major opportunities this year that we really want to succeed in, and one is getting a fiscal sponsor, and I think Daphne can help us understand exactly what that means. It's basically an umbrella company that can house all of the incoming money and the funds and be a 501c3 for us. Is that correct? Am I doing that good enough?
Yep.
Okay. So we definitely need to get that established, so before we can accept donations in order to get the $150,000 for the Blue Zones to come in and actually get the program started, we have to have a bank that can oversee that, or a parent company that can oversee that and handle the donations. So those are our two major goals for this year, and if anybody has any ideas on how we can work through that, through companies that are here in Bloomington that are actively involved in something that might benefit from being associated with the Blue Zones and the idea of the Blue Zones being here in Bloomington, which I personally think is the most amazing opportunity for all of us. I met Dan Buettner back in 2008 when I was on a board in Minnesota, and the federal government gave $48 million to 3 counties to help them with their health issues. And we brought Dan Buettner in, and he is the man who discovered the Blue Zones and then led to all the research that's been done that all of us are now benefiting from, of learning this knowledge and the 9 points and the principles of longevity and living healthier and longer. So anyway, that's those are our wishes for you. But if you noticed any of the courses that kind of sparked an interest in you, come and talk to Lisa. Come to Lisa's. If you want to learn how to dance, I teach couples dancing. So if you want to come and do couples dancing, it's a fabulous way to meet people. One of my favorite lines from one of my clients, they said, "Why do you think we come to your lessons every week, Mary?" And I said, "Oh, I don't know." And I was ready for them to give me a big compliment. And instead what they said is, "This is the one night a week where my husband and I hold each other and look in each other's eyes." So, you know, it's pretty wonderful. It's a great way to spend time with your significant other. It's also a great way to meet other people. Well, hi, sweetie, and I love dogs too. And walk your dog all the time, even in the cold, cold weather. Even in the cold, cold weather. Anyway, and so if any of the programs that were mentioned, if they interest you, come be a part of it. The more you show up, the more you're going to learn about how you can help the Blue Zones become a reality here for us in Bloomington, and I think all of us can benefit from that. And then the next thing I want, What, did I miss something?
No, we were just talking about, maybe you might talk about Margaret.
Talk about Margaret coming?
Since you want to
Yes,
save the date.
Yeah.
absolutely.
That's really
Well, we
exciting.
don't have the date actually just yet confirmed, but we're hoping to bring Margaret Brown in, who is the Vice President of the Blue Zones Initiative Project. And our plan is to have her the last weekend of April, or week of April, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, which I think is the 23rd, 24th, and 25th of April. And we're gonna host separate little individual events where people can actually come and spend some time with her and ask her some really serious questions about how we make this a reality and what we need to do to make that happen. So we will definitely be keeping you informed on that. And if you have key people that you think would benefit from being at that with us, we want to fill those seats with people that can make things happen here in Bloomington. That's kind of the goal. We want to get this off the ground. Is that good?
That is excellent.
Okay, so now I want to share with you a lovely little story. I have the absolute pleasure and little thorn of having a 92-year-old mom who is a rock star. And she's such a rock star that it's a little intimidating because she's setting the bar for me. And it would be my goal through this Blue Zones project that all of us become that bar for all of the younger generations. Set that bar. And it's not a thorn, but it is a little intimidating. You know, to think she joined a gym for the first time at 90 years old. For the very first time in her life. She takes care of her elderly friends. She calls them her elderly friends. And she'll be 93 this year. Anyway, one really cool thing that has happened is I have started playing bridge with her. And I was invited to her bridge party, which was at the Country Club in Battle Creek, Michigan, and I went. And it was a very snowy day, pretty severe out, and I was nervous about the ladies walking across the parking lot and getting there safely. And I said to one of them, wow, I am really impressed. There were 32 ladies there, all between the ages of 85 and 97. And I said, wow, this is impressive. I'm amazed that you would go to the trouble to be here. And they said, I will not miss a day with my friends. Nothing's gonna stop me. So that kind of is their spirit. Their spirit is to not miss a day, to show up, to participate in life and be with their friends, which I think is a serious Blue Zones principle, is to make sure you have time with friends. So I got very excited about talking to all of them and noticing things about them and realized they have their own little Blue Zone right there, the little group of 32. So I designed a questionnaire to learn from them how their life is affected by these 9 principles and if they identify with them at all. They filled them out for me. And several points were really cute, and I am gonna ask you to fill one out for me. Because what I realized is that by you filling this out, it might engage some ideas in your brain for what you could bring forward to help with the Blue Zones or what you could pass on to other people. So I only printed out 10, only because I know some people would rather do it online. All you have to do is send me a message and I'll get you a copy of it and you can fill it out. I would love to gather this data from all of the people in this room so that we hear what you have to say about how the 9 principles apply to your life and what you're doing. So one of the wonderful things that one of the ladies said to me, she said, I'm a little embarrassed by this. Now, she's 96. I'm a little embarrassed by this, Mary, but is it okay if I say that I make my bed and clean my house by myself as a way of movement? I said, oh my God, yes. That, you know, we want to make this attainable for people. And if you're 96 years old and you can make your bed every day and clean your own house, more power to you. I want to be her. I want to be her. So I just got fabulous responses, and I was going to share a couple of them with you just because they're so darn cute. This group of women is impressive, so impressive that I also have a call to action. I want to know if anybody knows how to play bridge in here and has any interest in starting a bridge club. Because I'm telling you, these ladies were sharp. I mean sharp. And they do credit bridge for all of it. So it brings them together with their friends. It keeps them, has them a purpose for them to show up, and it has them working their brain on a regular basis. Anyway, so one of them was, how has their purpose changed? My focus is now more on helping the elderly or challenged friends and individuals. So that's what they do, and that's what they see as their purpose. And then this one was, I believe wine with a special dinner keeps people at the table longer and contributes to the enjoyment. So wine at 5. So this one likes to have a little glass of wine at the dinner table so that she can keep people there longer, which I thought was lovely. This one is sense of purpose, being thankful, being involved with life. So that's these programmings. All of the programs that we have allows people to be involved in life. One more. Do you follow habits or rules for eating? And they said pretty much all of them were like, yes. They're very into fruits and vegetables, and that's where their diet has changed to. They're doing much more fruits and vegetables, and they're more focused on protein. Anybody else focused on protein? That seems to be a buzzword. That's a huge buzzword. And this, I love this sentence. I'll finish with this one. My life changed drastically after my accident. I got frustrated, but stopped and gave thanks for all the good years. I have a new motto, and it is never give up. So I thought those were really profound statements that these people filled out. So spend some time with the questionnaire, think about it, and share what you want us to hear about or your family to hear about. How the 9 principles of the Blue Zones affect your life and what you do that proves that you're living those. Okay? And then I would love to pass this over to Daphne unless anybody has any questions. So anyway, contact me. I'm sure I'm in some way of being able to be contacted in the newsletter somewhere. And so if you didn't get a copy and you want one, I will email you one. And this is Daphne.
Hi, I'm Daphne Clark, and actually I'm very recent to these efforts and group, but I'm very thankful for being able to participate and have a debt of gratitude for all the work that all of you have already done to get this off the ground. I'm really just here to offer resources and some structure. So I've got a lot of background in doing large community initiatives and collaborative functions and getting financial support, project support, and resources to it. So that's what I'm focused on. So I met with these folks earlier last week and got a little bit of an understanding of what some of the needs are. I currently run a graduate student program at the Kelley Business School, and I have about 6 to 7 teams of students who this spring are looking for projects that they can do to help forward some initiatives in the community. So we've identified a handful of projects that we believe will help just give an oomph to this, some of which are very practical pieces, such as how do we develop a right community engagement and awareness plan, and what materials do we need to develop, etc. Others are going to be focused on finding some financial support and what's the right way we can do that. How large should we cast the net to see that we can bring enough funds in to kind of support what our goals and objectives are. And then some others really doing some best practice research on how other communities have successfully done the Blue Zones, and then translating into that what we think will work here in Bloomington. So that's what I'll be focused on the next couple of weeks. We're going to bring a number of students in, hopefully meeting with a lot of these folks and some of you to pick your brains, find out what you think will work, find out things that you have seen work, find out things that you know won't work in the community, so that we can actually have work plans put in place, we can have calendars put in place, and we can have some best practices and articles leverageable by everybody to be able to help extend the message and build support across the community.
Great. Thank you very much. Wow, I'm so excited. I feel energized by all the new people that are on our team now, and in the new people in the audience. We had a very successful launch year. Bridget and I started work on this project last January. It was just the 2 of us. And we touched more than 500 people with our programs and events last year. Oh, well, I should say that was our number at the end of the 3rd quarter. It'll budge a little bit from that, but I skipped over a slide. You might have noticed that one of our primary team members, Landry Culp, is not here tonight. Her husband mans the shelters for people when it's really cold, and so he did that tonight when she was going to come here, and she's home with the kids. But we like to support those kind of efforts, and Landry is the person that pulls together reports. She's a good analyst, and she works on strategy and with data. And so, as we like to say in the the informatics world, she does her findings about what we're doing and where we should be headed our database. So we look at what kinds of responses we get to different programs. But the book club's been a big success. The cooking workshops were a big success. And other programs that we just got started on later on that we can tell that there's some interest in that we want to continue doing this year. And in particularly focusing on partnerships, because we are a small team. We are an all volunteer team. So we can only spread our time so thin, and it takes all of you stepping in and doing a small piece, a workshop, a cooking workshop, many of your professionals and can lend your expertise to share with the community.
And get people involved.
And
invite
people
other
involved.
people to get involved.
When I first, when Mary first started coming to the Blue Zone in the middle of last year, I kept saying to Bridget, you know that lady, the cheerleader, that lady's really enthusiastic. And I'm so happy because she's just always jumping in, encouraging us to be more enthusiastic than we already are. So, so regarding the book, though, this is going to be a little different, and you'll know why when you hear me tell you.
How many people have it and have read it or started it? Some?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's important to realize is that we are not your typical book club. We're a lot bigger than most book clubs, for one, and we, in this particular session, this has been very stages on the stage, whereas we normally have more interaction with the audience. One of the important things to realize is you don't have to read the book to get a good information out of this. So if you find you've skipped a chapter or you haven't read the book at all, it's still, please come, join the community. And as far as reading assignments, we don't give tests. We might ask you some questions. If nobody answers, we'll tell you the answer, no big deal. So we're going to start with chapter 12, which that happens to be the chapter where the authors bring together, what they do really is compare the Blue Zone findings and recommendations, the nine pillars or the 9 lifestyle traits, with the research that they did. And surprisingly, the intercept in really meaningful ways in terms of the study, the research that these 2 authors have done underpins the research that Blue Zone. So it's a way of emphasizing what some of us already know about Blue Zone lifestyles and the do's and don'ts. And that sounds like there are, in fact, do's and don'ts, but the other thing to remember is one of the things I love about Blue Zone's philosophy is it's not prescriptive. There's really no, people say to me, oh, you're never going to get me, I'm going to always be eating meat. Well, guess what? Many of the Blue Zones are meat eaters. They just don't eat 6 ounces or 8 ounces at a meal, or even every meal. I know people that think they have to have protein in every meal, and that's true to some extent, but it doesn't have to be animal protein. That's what we're getting at. It's easy to pick off a little piece of what we're learning about these communities where people live longer than the average. They have a higher number of centurions. For those who wonder why Dan Buettner and his team ever went there, is because it was population demographics. And what they found was that among the 5 original Blue Zones, there's many more of them now, but among the original 5, there were 9 lifestyle traits that were common to all these Blue Zones, even though they were, one of us in Okinawa in Japan, and others in Sardinia in Italy. There's one in Loma Linda, California, in the middle of a metropolis. Costa Rica, the Nicoyan Peninsula, these places are not close together, and they're not even similar in terms of the terrain or proximity to water, any of that sort of thing. So we call this it's not empirical data that connects these people. It's more qualitative approach to seeing what the ways they're similar and creating a story around that. So we will be discussing in detail chapter 12. We'll be just skimming over some of the terms. There's a couple of key terms that are in the summary of the chapter. You like to see this term, it's got a mTOR, lowercase m-T-O-R, all in caps. You're going to look at that and say, what the heck is that? Well, there's a whole chapter on that, and we talked as a team about whether or not we could bridge that gap and start with the blue zones, and we decided we could if you would just bear with us and have some faith. And the reason for doing that is there's at least 5 or 6, maybe 10 people in this room right now that I've never seen at a blue zone meeting, and a lot of our folks that come regularly, it was cold, and we have a lot of other things, so we never see exactly the same group. So we are a community that is connected because we want to live a healthier life, longer and healthier lives. That's what binds us together in our love for all of you.
Yes.
So with that in mind, I did it again. Does anybody know how to keep this? I am a technology professional and I cannot manage this. So we are moving on to one last thing I think we have to talk to you about.
So will you go over, so we're going to start with chapter 12 next. Okay, so Cynthia, you've done a lot of the planning for the next 11 months. Will you go over with the group?
Yeah, go ahead.
Will you go over with the group what the layout of each month? So next month, March, will be chapter 12. And then from there in April, even if you don't have it on paper today, just sort of go out the layout.
So we're going to mirror, what worked really well for us last year is that it turned out that we were able to read a chapter sequentially in the other book. There happened to be 12 chapters, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, in the book last year. We didn't want to we didn't want to pick a book because it had 12 chapters. But these chapters range, and some of them are very short and some of them are longer. So we will be letting you know every month. We're going to, after this 12, we're going to go back to the beginning, and we may cover, the current thinking is we're going to cover the preface to parts of the beginning of the book and maybe chapter 1 in April. And then depending on how long the chapters are, we will have, every third Monday there will be a book club meeting here. You will know the month before what we're going to be reading, and once again, if you don't get it read, come just listen, right? Or give your 2 cents worth. We have learned so much from the audience over the last year, things that we couldn't even ever have imagined would bubble up. It's been wonderful. But
I would say though you would want to read it. Some of these chapters are quite scientific.
Yes.
So while we'll be doing outlines and we're going to have some interactive activities, I listened to chapter 1 3 times and read it, and I still have a lot to learn. So just to give you warning, Bridget is wonderful with data and scientific reading and analytical reading. So we're hoping she'll be able to share that skill with us, but I know that Cynthia is dedicated. We're all dedicated to this book. So I would read it before you come if you can. She's just saying if you don't read it, please still come. You're still going to learn.
yeah, that's my point.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wendy?
Bridget, you said every third Monday?
It's, the book club is always the third Monday of every month.
Third Monday of every month.
So do you
Yeah.
have a date offhand for the next meeting?
Next
Yeah, it's the 17th of March.
March 17th.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And Barry, did you have a comment?
I did. When I was reading the book, I found the arguments very compelling, and then I was reading through, I can't remember when, it was a month ago, and there was an article Council on Science that heavily criticized the research. So how do we kind of deal with that? It's supposedly based on scientific research, but a lot of people are saying there's a lot of errors to the data and the data sets are not valid. I really want to go with what's in here, but how do we kind of treat that other side of it?
I think what you're referring to, if I'm not mistaken, is there's some criticism of the blue zone research. It actually, interestingly, some of the research findings were based on earlier research by one of these individuals. So we're going to keep an open mind like the scholars that we are, and I know you come from a research background as I do. This is common, very common in the scientific community to have an informed debate about whether data makes sense or not. And we all know as educated people that you can take a data set and you can come up with many different findings and recommendations based on what you glean from it. So we'll keep an open mind. In fact, had you been here, we actually brought that article to the meeting and we talked about it. Nothing better than an open debate about things like that. And thank you, and thank you. Debate about a debate. Thank you.
Yeah, and even if you don't believe some of the data sets, the conclusions are still valid.
Oh, absolutely.
They don't have to rest necessarily on
Yeah.
data.
That's
The
so
only thing
true.
that was questionable was the alcohol.
Oh yeah, I hear that all the time.
Especially for brain health.
Yeah,
Because
and
we want to believe that. We can have TV.
I have a friend in this group that was in a class with me. She will remain unnamed. I'm not even going to look at her. And she said to me, "Oh my gosh, I just don't know if I want to hold this because of the alcohol." And I thought, well, what can you say when you see that there's they don't just drink one glass of wine in Sardinia. They drink like 3, 4, 5 glasses, but the wine is different. They're not drinking commercially, chemically aged, processed wines that we get here in the United States. These are small farms. They oftentimes have their own grapes or their neighbors. They're producing wine by historic methods that are biblical.
Homemade.
Yeah. So this is not your big red wine of the week. It's something different, which is more like medicine, I would say. But I think that's a great point. We love that. I love the challenge of trying to sort through that. And you're so right. The evidence is there, whether or not the data is correct or not. Anybody else have a comment about what we were just talking about? Because there are, yes. Oh, you're waving to us. Okay, so I did want to finish giving you an outline of the year. So what we did last year is we stopped our book club readings in October. That turned out to be really good for the team because that gave us a chance to get together at Thanksgiving time and give thanks for all that had happened and all we learned. We had a wonderful kitchen dinner. It snowed that night. It was first snow in the city. It was magical. It was the neatest night.
It was.
And I was hobbling very much that night, but I managed to stand up. It's great. For all of you who are new, I broke my ankle. Puppy. You know how they say old people shouldn't get puppies? And in fact, the puppy belongs to my son, and we love her. We still have her. But I spent 4 months off my feet because of her. And so happy to be standing and walking again. All this to say that we will have a gathering and a kind of a recap session in November then, and then we'll be off for the month of December. And hopefully we will not have to postpone next January because we're planning not to have any more accidents.
That's right.
More accidents.
Yeah.
Okay, so what else does anybody else have something that we need to talk about or want to ask a question about or have any? I think this is the questions and thank you. I give up on that. Sue?
Are you always going to have?
Lisa.
Yeah. So are you always going to have what you're doing on Friday in the day? Because I work in the day, and so I'm going to miss all those, and I just want to put that out there about maybe an event once in a while that could be at a different time that people can't get there in the daytime?
That's a great question, and this is something that we started addressing. You want to talk about your Thursday night get-togethers, or the idea that we want people involved that do work? What Sue is suggesting is, I am just going to do it again. I know better. What Lisa is suggesting is that many of you are still working, and therefore cannot attend events during the day. We've started holding events, workshops, and classes. As far as the Friday, I can't promise you anything, but if it's well received, we'll make a point of seeing if we can bring. In fact, the physician that we heard from, we asked him if he'd be willing to come and speak to all of you sometime. So we will be cherry picking really good speakers and topics that we think you'll be interested in, inviting them to come and share their information with you.
We could take that into account. Evening opportunity.
Yeah, we are definitely.
Maybe we can get my husband to do one.
Oh, yes, we have a doctor in the house.
We do have a doctor in the house, and maybe he'll like do a little workshop for us. Dr. Conieris.
Don't you just love it when your spouse, like, you know, my spouse is in the room, so I can't, I can't get by with volunteering him, but.
I was thinking about an interesting thing he commented about with science.
He's got a great like statement about this.
That was a really interesting comment you made.
He actually has an opinion about it.
Anyway,
Oh, Dr. Canaris is in the house. I didn't see
Yes,
that.
he's in the house.
I didn't see you, Doc. I didn't know you were in the house. Yeah. Yes. Okay, so I think what we're referred to as a new program at the Enright Center East at the College Mall. It's going to be, it's 4 different programs actually. It'll be a special interest group that meets at 11 at noon. There's bring your own lunch with beverages provided, and a topic, a speaker talking about various different things. We've gotten the ideas from the members there at Enright themselves, so basically anybody can suggest a topic. And then after lunch, there's a 1.5-hour session with artist Julie Hill, who was a longtime enrichment director at Del Trace, thank you. And she is the one with some help from me and Bill Stafford, who landed the grant to the providing all the supplies and arts materials to interpret the stories of people's life in artistic ways. There's movement involved. There's meditation involved. She has all these different methods of helping people tap into their creative spirit. And then the final part is called a co-design studio, and it'll be a session where young students from informatics, Ethnology, School of Art, School of Public Health, and there's a 4th one, forgive me, we're going to come in and interview the members of that, the constituents, people who come, participants, about various topics. And one of them that they're working on already has to do with a lot of seniors are afraid, or elderly people are afraid to go out for security reasons and walk in their neighborhoods. And they're trying to come up with a way to convey safety issues to people in their homes, so they know what's going on out out and about. Yeah. So that's just one idea. There's many others. Anybody else? So we'll.
So I want to, since we're heading towards the end of the session, I want to say that typically when for those of you that are new, which I feel like it's like half and half this time around, I see about half the folks that are here that have come to workshops in the past and book clubs in the past, and there are quite a few new folks. So I'd love to take a few moments to see if anyone that has come regularly to the book club in the past wants to share what what you've gotten out of the last year in terms of coming to our cooking workshops, coming to our 4-week challenge, which we didn't talk about that. Michelle Henderson is on our team, and she did a Blue Zones 4-week challenge twice, and I know quite a few people came to that. So just to share with folks that are new to the group, would anyone like to share your takeaways from this past year? Sandy?
I don't know if I can. No, I can just stand up.
Okay, sure.
My name's Sandy Islands. I'm relatively new in Bloomington, and I love the reading, so when I heard about this, I said, okay, I'm book club, I'd like to do it. I enjoyed the book. It's always wonderful to learn about ways to be healthier. Thank you. It's always good to learn about ways to be healthier, but also I've got to meet a lot of wonderful people here. And I've got to do some of the different programs they've had. What's nice is that usually it's a small group when you do one of these programs, and you do get to meet the people, and it's like being in a really healthy tribe. So that's what I've enjoyed.
I attended all the Blue Zone Initiative programs last year, plus Bridget's cooking programs and Cynthia, which have been wonderful, and they will start again very soon. No matter how much you think you know, you don't until you start reading and talking, and it's just so informative and makes you really reflect on your own lifestyle and choices that you make. And I've been vegetarian since the late 70s. Now I'm a pescatarian, I do eat fish, but very definitely a plant-based diet, and I've learned so much from the Blue Zone people, but more from our representatives here, and I encourage you to keep coming. These are just excellent, and the nicest people too.
Anybody else? That's Wendy Rubin, the sweetest lady I know. See, I can talk.
Yay.
And one of the things I guess I'm the proudest of as a plant-based chef is the fact that we always fed everybody really well. So we not only got to cook, but we would go home, and my people at my house would say, well, you want some dinner? And it's like, no. No. So in addition, there is a fee normally for these classes because we are a volunteer organization. It's a small fee, but it's cheaper for you to eat, come and learn and eat than it is to go out to a nice restaurant, or a good healthy restaurant, I should say. So I would encourage you when we start doing those again to please join us, and we learn from you guys too, by the way, Wendy. It's not just the one you to us.
Yes.
And just like on a last note about programming, if you're thinking of a program that you might want to do as we move through the months, something might inspire you, please contact Cynthia and try to do it with a timeline in mind that I need to have information for the newsletter and for announcements by the last week of the month so we can get it into a save the date. So as you start to formulate, please contact her early, and then our leadership team will talk about the program and if you'll be a partner or if you'll be an official like Blue Zone inspired program. Like Lisa McMichael's new one is more Blue Zone inspired. Then let us know as early as you can, but think of the end of the month as your target to get things ready and get images and links to me for people to sign up and all that information so we can get it promoted.
Don't be put off by the fact that you might have to get links and all that. We just had someone that approached us about a workshop and didn't know how to do any of that. And within 2 days, I think maybe 6 or 8 people stepped up and said, how can I help you? So it's that kind of an environment. So don't be intimidated by any of those structural elements. And we are fastidious about finishing on time or a few minutes early because we value you, we value your time, and we want to make sure that you get home and get your night's rest like all good Blues owners do. And so thank you for coming, and we'll see you next.
If anybody wants flyers, I brought flyers for both Lisa's course and the dance course. And I didn't have any of the other ones, so.
I want to go to
anybody
the,
wants one of those.
I so want to go to the dance course, but my doctor said I'm not ready to start dancing on my ankle. So we'll see you. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you all for coming.
March 17th.
March 17th. See you next month.
Yay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.